Today on Tennessee Mountain Homestead, the Blackout Edition Sears project gets a custom set of headers. Hop on in and ride shotgun as we bend our way through another smoking hot episode. The show starts right now.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the shop. Today, the Blackout Edition Sears is getting a set of custom headers. This is the stock Predator muffler. The only thing we're going to be using from this are the flanges. I picked up this muffler from Amazon. I'll put a link in the description. It's nice and short because I don't have much room on the tractor. The header tubes are going to be made from 1-inch electric conduit. I know these headers are going to need some pie cuts and some bends, so I'm going to make a few up front using this foot bender. Also, we need to remove the finish on this conduit with some muriatic acid. That way, the welding process will go a lot smoother. This type of conduit and bender can be found at just about any hardware store like Home Depot. Use heavy foot pressure to get nice, smooth bends. Muriatic acid takes off the finish of this stuff really well. When using chemicals like this, it's a good idea to wear gloves and a set of safety glasses. This type of acid will irritate your skin, but you definitely don't want to get any in your eyes. I'd say most importantly, don't breathe in the fumes. One whiff of this stuff and you'll know what I mean. After the corrosion protective finish came off, I moved the parts into a bucket of plain water. This will help dilute and remove any residual acid from the parts. Once we're done with the acid bath, we pour it back into its original container. This stuff is good for repeated use. What's up, guys? It's the next day. We got sidetracked from this and made no more progress yesterday because my wife called and the transmission in our van decided to leave the chat.
Big old girl barely fits.
Stefan and I had to go rescue her, and we got the van back home safe. I spent the rest of the day trying to find a replacement transmission, which we'll have sometime next week. Now, let's get back to the headers. Yesterday, after giving these things an acid bath and washing them off, I stuck them in the oven at about 350 degrees to stop them from flash rusting and to dry them out really good. I removed the heat shield so I could get the bandsaw at the base of those exhaust tubes. It's a good idea to cut off things like this as long as possible to leave yourself the most options even if you don't think you'll need it. Here we go. I've got the stock exhaust flanges cut off the muffler. I left the little bends, I cut them off as close as I could to leave me the most options possible, but I can already tell they're gonna get cut off a lot shorter. Anyhow, reusing those, and my plan, I want the muffler to be somewhere here. I don't know about the angle, but I don't want it to be sticking out in front of the tractor at all. So something like this, maybe at an angle, maybe slightly down, that's to be determined. But the real trick is going to be getting this front exhaust pipe or header to come out, and I've got it come back actually. Avoid this belt and then make a sharp U-turn into the back of the muffler. I also want to keep these two headers as close to the same length as I possibly can. I don't think it's going to be perfect, but it is what it is. This one's going to be a lot easier. All I have to do is come out and turn into the muffler. This is gonna be the tricky one. So with that, I'm gonna get to work. I'll see you guys in a minute. Go ahead and cue the work montage. I decided to completely cut the stock pipes off of these flanges. First of all, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a big dent, probably where they bent this thing, and it came right off of the flange like that. So there's a big dent in the bottom of it, probably from manufacturing. but it's also slightly smaller than the tube I'm going to be using, and I want it to be as big as possible, or at least match the port size on the head, which is like 1 3/64, and that was 15/16. So we're gonna open these up to the 1-inch trade size. The 1-inch conduit is like it's right just a hair under 1 3/64. It's like, what would that be, Stefan?
1/32.
Yeah, it's something like that. So it's really close to being the same as the port size. We're gonna go with that. I got the inside of these flanges opened up to 1 3/64. That's the exact same diameter as the port on the head. So Stefan's gonna go ahead and clean up some of that tubing. I'm gonna continue opening up the other one, and then we're gonna weld on the new tubes.
And do you want this one to be on like probably the outside of the whole thing?
Probably not touching, like out. So it needs to be like an inch shorter. This is going to be the easier header out of the two. And it's simply a 90 bent with that foot bender. All I need to do is go toward the engine some, but not get into this belt. So I think I'll start by taking off 1 inch, and we'll work it from there. It probably needs to be more like 1.5 inches, but I don't want to take too much off at once. Here's what I've got so far. Now this is just tack welded to that flange, and it's close to what I was trying to achieve, but I'm a little far out. I want it to be in tighter to the hood. So I got two options. I can either cut it shorter and tack weld it again, or I can put it back in the bender and just give it a little more and just close the bend up a little bit. I think we're gonna close the bend up a little bit.
Better?
That did. I decided to commit with this rear pipe. I like where it's at. I like how it's angled. So I welded out the whole entire flange. Now it's nice and stiff. The next thing is now the front header tube. I think what I'm gonna do is try to start with a 90, and I've gotta steer it backward because I can't just come out and turn into the muffler. There's not enough space. What I'll do is cut this off somewhere here, tack weld it to the flange, and somewhere right in this area, I'll have to pie cut some pipe, and I'll make a U-turn, go in the back of the muffler, right next to this one, and that should also be a comparable length in tubing to this one so that they're as close as possible to being equal length. All right, so what I'm trying to do is get this clocked into position so I can tack weld it and start working from a solid base point. That looks pretty good right there. I'm gonna start turning this pipe right here where I made this mark. And this is the piece that's going to be coming off of it. What I'm gonna do is cut this one so it matches up with that one, but cut an angle right here, and this will be a pie cut. So I'll take this piece, we'll tack it onto the end of that after it's cut off, and then we'll make a series of these. And hopefully they start to turn when the radius is sharp enough to match up with this one. And contrary to what I was saying before, instead of trying to go inside this one, I'm gonna go around and go on top of it. So they're stacked going into the muffler.
Before I start on the pie cuts, I welded the second header tube onto the exhaust flange. Here I'm doing my best to make the tube round because the bender ovals it out a little bit. I'm sure there's a mathematical formula to make these pie cuts perfect, but I'll just stick to doing it by feel. Cutting them out of a 90-degree bend seems to help keep the joints from being pointy or segmented.
So the first few cuts were just kind of experimental, but they seem to work out pretty well. I think I'm on the right track. This thing's already turned almost 90 degrees. I just need to come around so that this comes in on top, and then we're gonna have to flatten these two pipes out where they go into the back of the muffler. I'm gonna take this back over to the welding table and start tacking and fitting these pieces, because when they go through the bender, they kind of oval out, so I need to individually round them back out and then start tacking them on here so the inside stays round, you know? I got the first pie cut welded on, and this is the method I'm going with. So I'm gonna do them one by one. I'm gonna put it back on the engine every single time I do one. And the first one's on there, like I just said. It's welded out completely around. And I went inside. It was already a smooth transition, but I just went inside and blended any imperfections with that Dremel tool with a stone, so that when I run my finger around inside here, it just feels smooth. The outside is going to be MIG welded, so it'll be as smooth as I can get it. But I just got done, I put it back on the tractor, and this is my second piece. And it's going to go just like this. I've got a line I drew with a marker, so I know where it lines up at. And what I'm doing is, before I start welding it, I'm squeezing it and trying to make it as round as possible so that it meets up with the last piece as best as it can before I weld it, so I have almost nothing to worry about as far as any ridges or bumps inside. Anyway, that's the method I'm using, little by little, step by step. I'm gonna do a whole bunch of these, and then I'll catch up with you guys in a minute. We're on the final stretch, guys. So I got this, as you can see, turned. It also kicks up a little bit to get on top of this pipe. This isn't welded yet, but this is going to take it in to the back of the muffler. Now these mufflers are removable, so they have a weld-on piece right here that needs to fit over top of these two pipes. Now there's no way it's gonna fit how it is. So what I've done in the past, I'm going to have to oval these out at the end. So I'll put them in a vise or the hydraulic press over there or whatever. Basically squeeze them. Squeeze them down until they fit inside here. Then we need to get creative and fill in all the openings with weld and pieces of sheet metal, you know, tastefully cut to fit inside. And I know one thing's for certain. This abbreviated exhaust is going to be loud. Check it out. There's my headers. You can see how I ovaled them out. Now I didn't change the volume, I just changed the shape. Oh, look at Duke. Wow. Hey, buddy. You sure about that?
You sure about that?
Anyway, check this out. So, just like this, I'll have the muffler fixed over it. This piece here on the end will weld to the pipes, and then any openings I will close off with pieces of sheet metal that I'll fit in there and weld the whole thing up. All right, tell me when it looks straight.
Gotta move your hand so I can see. I think like that's pretty good.
What do y'all think? Right there is how it's gonna look. Now, obviously, we're not stuck with anything, but I like it. It clears the hood. I might have to shave a little bit here so when I put the exhaust wrap on it, it doesn't wear it out, but otherwise, it's nice and solid right now. I got a good bit of weld between the pipes. That's my 2-into-1 right there. What's left to do is take it off the tractor. I'll take it over there to the welding table and I'll finish welding around that last piece of pipe attached to all my pie cuts. I'll close off the back of the exhaust where the two pipes go in this round fitting and there's openings back here. I'll close that in. Then we're gonna have to go up to the store and get some header wrap. It's like the bat symbol. I got the exhaust all welded out. As you can see, no more openings behind where the two pipes came together. I filled that in with some 14 gauge sheet metal. The last thing to do before we wrap this is put on the springs. So we want to give it a little bit of stretch, and it puts this clip back here right about where the first weld is. So we get one on top, one on the bottom. Exhaust engaged. Now, we're gonna run up to the store and get some exhaust header wrap. We'll be back in an instant. All right, we're back. I got some exhaust header wrap. Let's take these things off the tractor, get them wrapped up, get them back on, close it out. We're ready to start wrapping our pipe. The instructions say that this type of exhaust wrap needs to be moistened, but not soaked. Probably pretty good right there. Probably really good. And now we start at the top. Doing a 1/4 inch overlap, and we did pre-cut this stuff. It says with this 2-inch wide material that you need about 30 inches per foot on a 1 3/8 inch tube header, which this pipe is not quite that wide, but that's what we went with. Tuck this last little bit. Got a stringer going. I don't have the little snap straps it says to use, but I'm going to use tie wire. I did this on the deer and it's held up fine. We're all wrapped up, and the instructions say to run heat through it or put it near a heat source. definitely don't want to burn up our header wrap with that 3,000 degree torch.
Okay.
There it is, guys. The headers are DUN, done. Stay tuned. Next weekend, I have all the electrical stuff coming for this. Switches, a battery. I've got brake-in oil. Hint, hint. Oh yeah. Me and the boys are gonna be here for like 4 days next weekend by ourselves. And who knows, we might just fire this thing off and take it for a little rip. If you're new to the channel, please like, comment, subscribe. As always, I'm Jason. You're watching Tennessee Mountain Homestead, and we'll see you on the next one.